I'm at Mirfield station. A huge amount of work has gone on here as part of TRU. Not quite finished, but we're absolutely getting there. January 2027, Christmas is when a major amount of work either side is going to connect up. There's some incomplete track that we'll talk about in a second later. Mirfield station, the majority of the work here has been around completely rebuilding the layout of the station around what will eventually be a two-platform island station, largely in place here. You can see that over here there's still platform 3 over there, which is going to disappear. This old knackered bit of trestle wood is going to go, it'll disappear. It'll be replaced by, well, you see, with a temporary extension at this end, by the way, in order for them to demolish some of the old one to build kind of what I'm here to talk about, which is the new permanent accessible footbridge, AFA footbridge, to what is quite a nice stone design. It kind of matches a lot of the kind of the 90s era buildings in this, in deindustrialized north, but it's nice. It's a nice stone bridge, crucially gigantic double arrows on it that you can see, that I'll put up a bit of a B-roll on. Lovely double arrows. This is an almost total station rebuild to provide that improvement, thank you, 158, to provide that improvement in capacity, in accessibility. Actually, I'm looking at the platform there. The falls are quite interesting on this platform, so it must have been fun trying to get it all to work. But it's all bona fide. Mirfield Station, huge amount of work, and it is a classic example of, we have multiple examples of things that should be done with rolling programs. So we have AFA, should be a fully funded rolling program delivering as much as it can a year, not on a bloody project by project, location by location basis. These should just be, I mean, they are nominally standardized. They should be popping up everywhere. They should be popping up everywhere, and it should be a rolling continuous program, and people can argue as to whether their station works its way to the top of the list or is further down, but ultimately there is a pot of money, and the inflation can be cancelled out by efficiencies if you like, but even if it is fixed to inflation, that number should stay largely fixed, and the railway should be able to deliver more and more and more of those within that funding envelope a year by the efficiencies, by building efficiencies in that team, by it just doing the same thing over and over again. So that's lifts, it might be escalator work, it could be platform edge work. This is now a platform set to the standard offsets beautifully, so it will enable level boarding in the future. All that work can and should be rolling programs. But station reconstruction work, which often has to happen, whether it's moving a station off a transition into regular curve or onto state track, whether it is a station that is just no longer fit for purpose and requires reconstruction, whether it's other accessibility features like help point buttons and things of this nature, whether it is things like access point work. So an access point onto the railway off the end of the station. Oddly enough, we've used a ramp, which is one of the downsides of not having ramps on the ends of stations. All of this sort of work, the scale of work that we should be doing with rolling programs, not on a project by project basis. Again, TRU kind of shows us what that looks like on an overall route basis, but actually it needs to expand to be much, much broader than that. Another obvious thing that rolling programs suit is signage, and in a way we do signage via rolling programs, right? It's like there is a decree that there is a signage change needs to be made, and it starts getting rolled out kind of like is now, albeit, as we see with this example of the use of the new rail symbol and the alignment with the text, baffling choices. The text looks a little heavier though, someone correct me. Also interestingly about this signage versus the signage I'm putting up now, the old Metro signage for West Yorkshire, is they've got the Weaver network on it. This is the current view on how to tie Weaver network into the station, and I think certainly as a temporary measure, it's not bad. It's pretty basic and pretty bare bones, but it's not bad. Anyway, signage, classic thing that a rolling program can change, but not just signage, but the whole identity, the whole story surrounding the identity of particular, around particular areas, particularly urban areas, particularly the strategic authorities, is a rolling program of the identity, not just of station signage, wayfinding, but of the wider integrated transport picture, and of trains as well, as trains get reliveried to match their areas that they fit within.